Hi, it's David on a beautiful foggy day along the banks of the Colorado River. What I'm trying to do in the Grit 500 series is to gather videos of miracles, near-death experiences, or heavenly visits that people have had. And I'd like you to send that to me by email at thegrit.fitforlife@gmail.com email address, and you possibly could use your Google Drive, My Drive, the share button, and so those files might be fairly good sized. All you need to do is share with me some experiences you've had with miracles. I know around my circle of friends and others, I've witnessed miracles, I've seen miracles, and near-death experiences, and the visit of people from who have died and come back and visited people. And I'll talk about that a little bit in this video. Albert Einstein said, "There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other is as though everything is a miracle." I like the second way to see the miracles around me. 14 years old, I played baseball, and one time I stole home and I was going to kick the ball out of the catcher's mitt when sliding, and instead I hit the plate and peeled it up, and it snapped my ankle, and I seriously broke it, and it was an ugly break. I broke my growth ring, and when I went to the hospital, the doctors said it didn't look very good, and my dad gave me a blessing, and I remember I had a full length cast on my whole leg, and I was in the hospital for a week, and 2 weeks later I had it x-rayed, and the doctor just had his eyes wide open, and he said, your ankle healed, and that should have been like the whole summer for that to happen. So anyway, that was one of the miracles that I've had in my life. A fairly good example where a lot of people were involved with a miracle and also heavenly visits from mainly ancestors. Sometimes those ancestors are angels that help us out. We have guardian angels that are with us, and most of them are usually related, and some may not be, but a lot of them have been identified. In Wyoming in 1986, in a place called Cokeville, they had what they called the Cokeville Miracle. There were 146 hostages held, mainly grade school students and their teachers, and a former marshal, disgruntled town marshal, came back and held the kids hostage, and he had a homemade bomb. And there were a lot of things that happened that made it so no one died in an explosion. A lot of people described angels circling around the bomb to make it go straight up so it would not blow up the whole classroom. There were people that had third-degree burns on their faces and other body parts that did not scar. There were also kids that showed in photo albums the angels that had helped them, and they were people that had gone on. And so anyway, this is just a good example of where people can get to know that everyone who was there, and not all the people saw the heavenly visitors, but they do. I don't think there's a person who's ever said that these miracles and these visits did not happen. And when it happens to a big group like that, you know there's something going on and that heaven is real. One of the miracles in my life was my mother, in more ways than I can ever think of. when I was in 6th grade, she had breast cancer and had radiation and had mastectomies, and the radiation treatment calcified a lot of her tissues in her body, and so later on that radiation became a problem with her, and she had different cancers, thyroid, and in the last 4 years she's had 7 surgeries. She had some pig valves. One, they couldn't get it sutured in because of the calcified tissue, and they had to go deeper into her heart, and it took 8 hours on an operating table, and she made it through that. Later on, she had a cow valve placed in her heart. My mom was always energetic and full of life. She recently went through about a week and a half of just one thing after another going wrong with her. At times we thought she'd bounce back like she always had, but the night before she passed on, my dad and I stayed with her, and at 3 a.m. in the morning she was talking to her mother. Now her mother's passed on, and I almost felt like I was eavesdropping on the conversation she had with her mom. That's my grandma. And I recorded everything on a text message to my brothers and sisters and sent it to them throughout the night. And I would leave it with the at the beginning of this YouTube video. And I just thought it was really interesting how my mom, she was in a lot of pain, and how she was pleading to go to the next go to paradise, but it wasn't quite ready yet. She still had a lot of people that wanted to say I love you to her, and for her to say that to them. A lot of times she was in too much pain and too tired, but we went through about 150 people of her closest friends and family members, and it was a really great experience. My mom also has told me and some of my siblings and to a group at a reunion how her 2 sisters had visited her, and also her parents. This was about 3 years ago that happened, and I'll just let you listen to what she said about that. But people do have visits from the other side, usually their family members, and it's quite a special experience when you get those kind of things that happen. The spirit world is really close to us. I just read a book by Dr. Neal. It's called 7 Lessons Learned. It's a near-death experience she had. She wrote a book prior to that called To Heaven and Back. The 7 Lessons Learned book really goes into detail about a lot of people's experiences they've had, the connection with the spirit world, and how beautiful of a place that is, how Jesus Christ's love is just the most, I can't explain, but it's like my mother's love, maybe 10 times, and my mother's love was as deep and as great as I ever felt any love in my life, and yet the Savior's love for us is even so much greater.
These things happen to us, and they're special. I've also had, after I had my mitral valve replaced, just a week or 2 later, I had Millie and Rennie come to me. Now both of them had died. They passed away. And they were there, and they were dressed in white, and they were young. They were like 25 years old, smiling at me. Didn't say any words to me, but I knew that they were there. and they were trying to console me, to let me know that they were there to help me. They were my guardian angels, and I think that was very special to me. It was just a tender mercy. But about 2 days later, Mom and Daddy came to me. Now Millie and Rennie were in white, and they, like I said, they were just beautiful. Mom and Daddy, in our house, we have a balcony that you go out from our living room, and Dirk and I had been watching TV or something. This is in my dream. This is my dream, and we come up the stairs, and they're out the sliding glass doors with Mom and Daddy sitting on. Daddy was sitting on a chair, and Mama was standing behind him. And Daddy motioned for us to come. So we went, opened the sliding glass door, and we went, and Daddy motioned for me to sit down by him. And they didn't say any words. He just went like this and like this. And that was 2 experiences that I've had, those sweet, tender mercies that come to me. And it has meant a lot to me. And I know that Mom and Daddy was there to help me also, because that was not a fun surgery at all to go through.